Good morning and welcome back. Today we are going to continue. Now, the transformation we are going to look at today, our first transformation is reflection. Now, how do we do reflection? Let's see. Now, reflection means flipping a shape over a line called the mirror line. Yes, so in our various houses, sometimes when you dress and want to see if everything is intact, you take a mirror and look at it. Now, when you look inside the mirror, yourself, which is the object, then the mirror itself is serving as a line between you and the image you are forming inside the mirror. Yes. So the mirror is serving as a line between you yourself, which is the object, and then the image inside or formed in the mirror. In rigid motion or in transformation, we also do reflections. Now, reflection, we have two reflections we do. We have reflection in the x-axis. Now, reflection in the x-axis is the same as reflection in the line y equals 0 or x7 as the mirror line. And we also have reflection in the y-axis or reflection in the line s equals 0 or y7 as the mirror line. So we are going to take each of them and look at how to do those reflections. So in exams, if you don't see reflect or reflection in the x-axis, maybe you see reflection in the line y equals 0 or you see reflect this point as s7 as the mirror line. Yes. So any of these is the same thing. What you do for reflection the x-axis is the same as reflection the line y equals 0 or s7 as the mirror line. Likewise, or the same is true for reflection the y-axis. When you see reflection the y-axis, what you do is the same as reflecting the line x equals 0 or y7 as the mirror line. So let's take the first one, reflection in the x-axis. Now the rule is that if you have to reflect a point, a particular point in the x-axis, then you are going to negate the y. Yes. So this is the object. After reflecting it in the x-axis, we have our y being negated. Yes. So a typical example is this. Yes. So if we have a point A, which is 3, 2, and you are reflecting this 3, 2 in the x-axis, that means that you are going to negate your 2 or your y. So the x coordinate stays the same, but the y coordinate changes sign. Now let's see how to reflect this point on the graph. Now I'm going to reflect this point in the x-axis. So let's see. But before that, you have to plot this point 3, 2. So if you want to, so the point is 3, 2. So let's plot the point. So 3, 2. So we have 3 and we have our 2 here. So this is the point A. Now I'm going to do our reflection. Reflection in the x-axis. So it means that this x-axis is serving as the mirror line. So if you are the human being, you are here. This is your mirror. So we expect that the object, the image will be formed here. So this is our mirror line. So S is serving as the mirror line. So yes, let's see our mirror line. So we have our line segments, then we're gonna have this, we're gonna have that. Yes. Let's draw it carefully and nicely. So we're gonna have our line segment, have this, then we have that. Now we are going to reflect this point. We are going to reflect this point. We are going to reflect that point. Yes. So let's do our reflection. We're going to reflect that point in the x-axis. So you see, after doing the reflection, you see you have your image here. This is the mirror line, and this is your object. Yes. So manually, we know that if you are reflecting a point in the x-axis, we are going to negate the y. We are going to negate the y. So initially it was 3, 2, but after reflecting it in the x-axis, we get 3 minus 2, and that is what we have here. Yes, so initially you have 3 and you have 2. So this is the object. Now after reflecting it in the x-axis, you're going to have 3 negative 2. So it is the y, which was 2, that has been negated to negative 2. So this is it. We can also have another point here. Let's say we have 6, 4. Now if you reflect 6, 4 in this line, we are going to have our image, which is going to be 6, -4. So you see, the y is still negated. The y which was +4 is still negated. And this is true. You see, you negate the y. You can still have a different point. Let's say we have this point here, which is 4, 5, 4, 5. If you do the reflection, you should get 4, -5. So you see our 4, -5 here. Yes. Now, reflection in the x-axis is not only done here. When you come here to and you have a point here, you have your image here. And when you have your object here too, you also have your image here. That means that this whole thing can serve as is serving as what the mirror line. So let's say we have a point here, and let's have our line segment here going to that side. This is our line segment. So I want to reflect this point. Do the reflection. Yes. So we are going to have our image here. So this is our image. Again, let's look at this point. This is -7, 4. -7, 4. After doing the reflection, the x-axis, you see we are still negating the y. So the y, which was 4, has been negated to -4, and we are getting this. So this is the reflection in the x-axis. Reflection in the x-axis. Now let's proceed and look at our last reflection. Reflection in the y-axis. For reflection in the y-axis, if you have your object or the points, we are going to negate our x, then we maintain our y. So taking an example, we have a point B, which is 4, -1. If you reflect this point in the y-axis, you are going to get -4, -1. So it means that you are maintaining your y, but you negate your x. So the y coordinate stays the same, but the x coordinate changes sign. Yes. So that is actually what we're going to do. So let's see how it will look like on a graph. So this is 4, -1. So let's plot this 4, -1 on the graph. 4, -1 on the graph. So we have 4 here and we have -1. So this is where the point will be. We have 4, -1. Now you're going to do the reflection in the y-axis. So this time around, this is going to serve as the mirror line. So you're going to have reflection in the y-axis. So you have your mirror line here. Have your mirror line. Then you do your reflection. So when you do your reflection, we're going to have our image points here. So you see, this is serving as the mirror line. This is the object, and this is the image. Now, we said that reflection the y-axis, we maintain the y, we negate the x. So let's see if that is happening here. The initial point is what? 4, -1. So we maintain the y, which is our -1. Then we negate our x, which is 4. So you see, our x, which is 4, is now negated to -4. So this is the image point. Let's say we have another point here. Let's say we have 8, -3. 8, -3. So manually, if 8, -3, look at this one. It means they are going to negate what? The 8. Yes. So reflection in the y-axis, they are going to have -8, -3. -8, -3. Initially was what? 8, -3. Then we negate the 8. The moment you negate it, it will come here. So you see, this is the mirror line. Now, we can do reflections here, and we can also do reflections here. So let's say that you have a point here. They want to do the reflection. You want to do the reflection. So let's say that you have your mirror line here. I want to do your reflections. So you just reflect this point. Then you have your image here. See, this is the image. So you see, we have the object, we have the image, and this is serving as the mirror line. So this is how we actually reflect um, points, whether in the x-axis or in the y-axis. Now, knowing this will help us to reflect a particular shape. Assuming that we have a triangle, let's consider this triangle and do the reflection. Assuming that we have a triangle, let's say we have triangle this, we have that, and we have that. This is our triangle. Then we have this triangle. We have triangle A, B, and C. Now let's go back to how to label or plot points or name this particular point. This point is what? 4, 1. This one is what? 2, 4. And this one is what? 8, 4. Now you're going to reflect this shape in the s-axis. So if you reflect this shape in the s-axis, let's see how it will look like. So we're going to have our line segment. Yes, we are going to reflect this one in the s-axis. We're going to reflect this one in the s-axis. So let's see how the reflection will look like. Let's see how the reflection will look like. So this is how the reflection is going to look like. So we have our A. You see, for reflection in the s-axis, we negate y. So we have 4. This is 2, 4. So we're going to get 2, negative 4. That is the first point that has been reflected. Our second point B, which is what? 4, 1. Now you're getting 4, negative 1. So you have negated the y. Then our last point is what? 8, 4 has become what? 8, negative 4. So that is the reflection. With this same object, let's do the reflection in the y-axis. The reflection in the y-axis. So we have that. So we are going to reflect that in the y-axis. So we have something like this. Then we are going to do our reflection. We are going to do our reflection. So you see, you have our reflection here. So this same object has been reflected this time around in the y-axis or y7 as the mirror line. So y7 as the mirror line, we know that we are going to negate x. We are going to negate x. So let's see. Our first point here, which is what? 4, 1. Now we are getting what? Negative 4, 1. So we are negating the x. So we have negative 4, 1. We have negative 4, 1. Then this our point A. This our point A, which is what? Initially 2, 4 is going to be what? Negative 2, 4. And this our point, which was initially what? 8, 4 is going to be what? Negative 8, 4. So you see how beautiful it is. We can also reflect this particular point, this particular triangle. Okay, you can reflect it here, and it also come here. Let's see how it is done. So we are going to have our line segment. That is where we are going to do the reflection. We have something like this. Yes, we have something like this. Okay, so extend the line small. So you have your line here, you have your line there. So you are going to do your reflection. Going to do your reflection. So you are going to reflect this particular triangle, the y-axis. Then you have it here. So you see, this one too can be reflected here. Now we are reflecting this one in the y-axis. So y is serving as the mirror line, so it will come here. We reflected this one in the x-axis so that we had it here, and we had it here. We reflected this one in the y-axis, then we had it here. Now we have reflected this one in the y-axis to get it here. So that is how it is. So just know that if you are going manually, then reflection in the x-axis, we are going to negate y to get the image. And reflection in the y-axis, we are going to negate s to get the image. And this brings us to the end of my presentation. Thanks for watching.